when we have all our top leaders, all our top trainers on teaching and tutoring, helping us to learn, teach, and earn residual income. My name is Bruno Leos, Ambassador with Global Wealth Trade, and tonight we have phenomenal trainers with us. I'm going to introduce our first trainer, who is none other than our second millionaire, top earner trainer, one of our second persons in our company to get his M5 BMW. Just came from this phenomenal vacation with our CEO, and I mean, you guys could have seen what has happened in this business for these people. So, with no further ado, I just want to welcome our top leader, trainer, top income earner, Rene Lior. Rene, are you on the call with us tonight?
Yes, yes, yes. Hello, Bruno. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, Rene. Just take it away. It's all in your hands now.
Well, thank you again, Bruno, for that wonderful introduction. And yes, it's not easy coming back from a $10,000 luxury vacation. You know, the excitement out the roof. I'm still sort of sleeping, thinking I'm on the beaches in Mexico. But tonight, folks, and again, a very exciting training. It's actually part 4 of our handling objections training. And again, you know, what you want to do is you want to have the first 3 parts in today's training, you know, being played back in your car as often as possible, because once you understand how to answer any kind of question or objection, this business becomes very, very simple. But before we get there, I, of course, have my 2 partners in crime, our 2 other incredible trainers, which again, I'm just fortunate to have them with me on this training call, because they have a wealth of experience, a wealth of knowledge, and, you know, they walk the talk. You know, they actually live, breathe, eat, sleep GWT. And our first, of course, co-trainer we have tonight is going to be none other than our regional ambassador, Mr. USA. They call him Mr. Lior Skaler, a gentleman, of course, who started building his business here in Toronto. Made so much good money that he decided to fly away where it's warm. So when it gets cold in Toronto, he flies to the beautiful beaches in Miami, or goes to New York for some shopping or some cheesecake, and constantly doing the business. His team is going globally, building globally. He was also with me on our incredible RA trip. I want to do a quick check-in. Do we have our Mr. Lior Skaler with us on the call tonight?
Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Rene, Anne-Marie. It's a pleasure to be back on this training series with you guys for part 4 of handling objections. And hello to all of the luxury consultants all around the world. I'm revved up for this training, as we have been for the last 3. We got some more great objections to tackle with you guys, and you know, I still wish I was on the beach in Mexico in our $10,000 luxury vacation. Wish I was able to do this call from the beach in Mexico, but you know, that's the beauty of this business is, you know, we can do these trainings from anywhere to anywhere all over the world. And thank you for hosting tonight, Bruno.
And of course, our last partner in crime for tonight's training is none other than our amazing diplomat, trainer, leader of the entire Calgary market. As the lady here is ripping up the market with her team, it's none other than Ms. Anne-Marie Chantal. Anne-Marie, do we have you on the call as well too?
Hello, Rene. Yes, I'm right here. Super excited to talk about, again, handling objection. This is going to be an amazing call again tonight, and I'm ready to go.
Okay, so I believe everyone is set to get going, to get cracking here. And again, folks, you know, if there's any other objections that we haven't covered for you so far, or any question that you might have gotten that you haven't gotten the answer for through our trainings, make sure you go ahead, enter in your questions into the chat box below, submit your question, and we'll be able to answer that question by the end of tonight's training. There are only about a few more handfuls of objections left to go through, but let's get started right away here, folks. And our first objection, continuing from when we left off last week, is how much money have you made so far? And again, just to give you a quick reminder, folks, that sometimes questions you might receive are not, you know, some questions are actually valid questions. In other words, they're actually, you know, honest questions. They just want to know more. And sometimes some questions are sort of invalid or sort of silly questions, or really they're not really valid in the sense that the main purpose of that question is not really the question itself, but the main purpose is to sort of, you know, give an excuse or sound negative. So in this case, you know, it could be either or. You know, how much money have you made so far? Some people just honestly want to know how much you've made. In other cases, depending on their tone, the other way this might sound is that they don't believe that somehow this business, GWT, can actually make money. So let me start off with, of course, passing the buck to our Mr. Amazing Regional Ambassador, Lior Skaler. So Lior, why don't you handle both situations? If it's an honest question, how would the person answer that? And if it's a question where someone might be sort of, I guess, doubting the real potential of GWT. Take it away, sir.
Well, thank you, Rene, and you're absolutely right. A lot of times people ask certain questions not because they actually want to know the answer, but they ask certain questions because of fear. And, sometimes fear causes us to not see great opportunities. And so sometimes when people say, well, how much money have you made so far? It could be fear that they have heard that there's companies in the world where you get started and you don't make money because the company is a scam. Well, I don't know why anybody would even have the thought that we're anywhere even close to that. But sometimes, people have different thoughts. And so, this might come from the fear that, they might not make money in this opportunity, or that other people are not making money in this opportunity, which is obviously not true because there are lots of people making money in this opportunity. So a lot of the times we have to address the fear as just fear, all right? So another reason why somebody might say, well, how much money have you made? Maybe because they don't have the confidence in themselves that they could actually achieve that money or to do the business as well. So fear in the company, fear in themselves is just fear, fear, fear. And that fear is actually going to prevent them from seeing how great this opportunity is. So it's our responsibility as luxury consultants to address that fear and to let them know that it is just fear and their question really is not valid. So, one way of handling that kind of a question is, well, what does how much money I've made have anything to do with your ability to make money with this company? All right. So, because that is true. When I got started in this company, when I first saw the opportunity in the tour, I did not care how much money my uplines made or how much money the person who introduced me made. I just saw that there was an opportunity to make money with this company and that I could do it. And I said to myself, I can do it because I had the self-confidence to be able to say to myself, I can do it. But a lot of people, they don't have that self-confidence to be able to say, I can do it. So, they need to validate that through other people, right? So, again, sometimes it's necessary, sometimes it's not necessary. So you have to remind them that it doesn't matter who's making money or how much money they're making, because if they got started in the opportunity, they could make much more money than their uplines. And we have many examples of people in this company who are making much more money than their uplines. And that's because of the great compensation plan that we have that rewards the people who actually take effort, who actually work, and who actually deserve to get paid, not just because they got started earlier, right? So that's one question to ask. But if it's a valid question, if they actually want to know, how much money can I make, or maybe they just want to know, what's the potential? Well, then you could say, well, I've made $100,000 in retail sales, or my business has made $500,000 in retail sales, or $30,000 in retail sales, or $1 million in retail sales, or $10 million in retail sales, depending on where your business is. My business has made this much money in retail sales, and 8% of that is commissionable, all right? Because that's the way that it works. So when you say 8% of that is commissionable, now they can do the calculations in their head to figure out how much money you can make as a potential in this company, all right? Now, some people might follow that up with, well, have you received that 8%, right? So what you can then say is, well, I've received some of it, or you could, if you haven't received some of it, if you haven't made money yet, you could say, Well, I haven't collected it all yet. And so another question they might ask after that is, well, how do you collect it? And that's where you would send them the compensation plan video and do a three-way with your upline so that we can answer any compensation plan related questions for them, okay? So now we're actually helping them to understand the business. And so sometimes it is a valid question because they just want to know, how do I make money? And so that's where we can send them the comp plan and show them this is how the compensation plan works. Is you accumulate all of the sales volume, and then 8% of that is commissionable, but you don't get it right away. You know, this is how you get it. And so once you've done what you need to do in order to get it, then that money goes into your pocket. So as long as people understand that, then, you know, they understand, okay, well, this is what I need to do to make money, so let's get going, right? Because, you know, people have a job and they know that if they go to work for a certain amount of hours, for a certain amount of days, they're going to get paid. They don't have to do any kind of calculations or, you know, there's no teams or anything like that. You know, it's very straightforward when you have a job. When you have a business, it's a little bit more complicated. And, you know, that's why we need to take the time to educate people to explain to them exactly how our compensation plan works. So, Rene and Anne-Marie, I know you guys have some great suggestions as well.
Thank you so much there, Lior. And, of course, everything you said is exactly dead on right. I think the main thing here, guys, is just to exactly be honest. You know, if the question is an honest question and it doesn't have a odd tone to it, I'll be honest. You know, I mean, if you just join the company the first few days or first week, say, hey, you know, I just joined the company my first week. You know, you're actually the first person I'm sharing this with, or my second person I'm sharing this with. And so it could be, well, I haven't actually made any money so far because I just got started. And a lot of people will actually respect that because what they're looking for is just sometimes honesty, and they want to see where you're at with things, right? Or it could be that you've joined for, 2 months and you choose one person and you made a wholesale profit of $50. If that was the case, then share that, right? So, you know, but I think the other really cool part is that for those of you who have been in the system now, in the company for a bit longer, you should have, perhaps productivity is happening within your organization. That's where, again, what we were saying is look at, your organization. Look at how much sales volume, how much retail sales have gone through your business, and share that. So, it could have been that, a lot of people get started in this company, and they get busy, and maybe, half a year, or even in Reta's case, 3 years, wasn't really doing the business, So, but after 3 years, he had, over $8 million of volume. In some cases, if it's been like, 9 months, you might have, 150 people and who knows, $100,000 of volume. Whatever that is, just share it because it does show the power of how this business can grow, while you're not even working the business. But that's where you want to follow it up with what Lior just said, which is to say that if you were to work the business and if you were to start applying and to build, your other team, how much money is commissionable right away for you? And so, of course, the last thing you want to do here is, whenever you do have this question, you can always offer the person, hey, if you actually want to meet someone who's actually, either made some money or made a great success with the business, why don't we give, one of my 5 a call? So I have a my 5 team who I can call upon to support me. Let's give them a call. And so sometimes what they're looking for is either maybe just to hear your story or maybe to hear an actual story of someone who's actually made some money. And, of course, everyone has a my 5, give them a call, and there you go. And so, and the last point that I really wanted to sort of reemphasize from what Lior was saying was that if they are asking from a sort of a negative kind of a tone or a defending kind of a tone, what you want to say to them is, what I make, to be honest with you, has nothing to do with how much you can make. Because everyone has to build their own business. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme where you can join, do nothing, and make money. I joined and I just wasn't really active. And again, be honest with your person, right? But say again that you shouldn't look at me and assume that what I make is how much you make. You have to understand the plan that's in front of you. And if you do X amount of work, then Y is the output. And so, end of the day here, folks, I just sort of, try to figure out where that person is and which angle they're asking you the question from. Is it because they have a disbelief in themselves that they can't do for themselves, or do they have a disbelief in the whole idea of network marketing, right? So we already covered those two things in our first training call. So Once you figure it out, you can sort of move forward with, either answering directly or, again, having them understand that, again, just because even for myself, just because I have made, X amount of dollars doesn't guarantee that, you'll make the exact same kind of money. You have to apply and work the business. So, Anne-Marie, anything else you want to add there?
Sure, thanks, Rene. Well, obviously, I learned a lot from you and Lior because when people ask me that question, I realize right away, just like you said, there's two types of objection, right? People that have no confidence in network marketing or within themselves, and like Lior and you said all the time, our job is to educate them. So when people ask me how much money I've made so far, I right away let them know, that I know how they feel because you're probably wondering, if people are actually making money doing this, because I know for me, I felt the same way at the beginning. I wanted to make sure people were making money, but then I realized that even if I were to make, $1 million a month, how would that help you? Because we all have to work for our own self, right? At the end of the day, it's your job, your work that will pay, not mine. So, so those are the type of way and story that I'll bring, just like exactly what you said and like Lior said, and I just love rehearing it from you guys because it really that's what I say, that's what I use. It's really what you make out of it. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say I love how you always apply the feel felt bound technique, which we did cover in the first training, because some people just like to hear that how they felt before. So wonderful, wonderful, and again, just hearing you guys share your thoughts just really gets me even more excited here. So, okay, well, let's move on to the next objection, which is your shipping fees are expensive. Now, this one here again, for me, it doesn't come up very often, especially if you're sort of here in Canada or the USA. But again, it might happen slightly a bit more in international borders. But again, I have my own amazing ways of how I handle this. But let's just check in the same order and let's see what Lior has to say. So, Lior, how would you handle this kind of an objection or a question?
Well, yeah, I don't get this objection very often, but a lot of people, they forget that we are a fine luxury designer fashion company and jewelry company, and so when we ship something, there has to be insurance. It has to be there are duties associated with that, and so that's one thing that's good to explain to people, is that the insurance and everything that has to go into the shipping actually impacts the shipping fees, number one. Number two, it's important for people to understand that the company does not set the shipping fees. The company, this money is not going to the company. This money is going to FedEx, which is the company that we use to ship all around the world. So if you've ever tried to ship something with FedEx, you're paying top dollar for shipping because it's 100% that is going to get there. There's insurance involved. They have a whole system. It can be shipped to any country around the world. I mean, the company can choose to use cheaper, companies, but how happy would your clients be if they didn't get their product? How happy would your clients be if the products came damaged? How happy would you be if you weren't able to track it or whatever other problems other shipping companies have? So when you work with the number one shipping company in the world, FedEx, you should expect to pay top dollar, and that's a good thing because we want to make sure people get our products, and we want to make sure that the products get there safely and that the whole system runs smoothly, especially when you have products and that can be shipped to every country in the world. You want to make sure that you can expand your business globally. You don't want to have any limits, and so that's very important for you to explain to people so that they understand that. Another thing that's important for people to understand is that a lot of products that are already located in a country, for example, if you go to a Louis Vuitton store in Australia, well, Louis Vuitton had to pay shipping to get that product to Australia. So do you think that, Louis Vuitton is going to pay for that shipping? No. What they're going to do is they're going to take the cost of shipping to get that product into Australia and put it into the price of the product. All right, so you are paying for shipping even when you buy something at a store, wherever you're located. You just don't see the extra shipping cost. All right, so the only difference is that with us you see the cost, and when with other companies you don't see the cost, but you're still paying for it because, again, that's how business works. Other companies also have to pay shipping to get certain products into certain countries. So another thing that's good to explain to people is that if they're looking at this opportunity as a luxury consultant or to become a luxury consultant, then what I usually say is, well, shipping's free because you pay for it, but the company actually gives you the money back, which you can use to purchase products. So you're really not paying anything for shipping. You're just investing money to buy products, right? So shipping is actually free. And when you explain that to people, then, you know, it doesn't really matter to them what they pay in shipping because they're very happy that they get to use that money to buy products anyway. So on to you guys.
All right, thank you for that, Lior. Amazing points there. Anne-Marie, why don't you go first?
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, the only thing I'd add when I get that asked is basically I'll say to people on top of what Lior just shared that the company also have group shipping. So a lot of people, what they do is that they get all together and they ship more people all together so they can save on their shipping fees. Because the rest is exactly what Lior said.
Fantastic. And of course, I think the only other point I could add to that, again, just to reemphasize again, is that, it's not like it's only our company that has shipping, right? I mean, if you were to order anything, from a company, especially if you're shipping it overseas, you just already expect that shipping will be very, very expensive. I bought a lot of things from the States, things from, different countries, and expecting the shipping, there's also the VAT and duties and taxes. And so, sometimes people just don't realize, they might not be so experienced in shipping things, worldwide. And when you explain to them, that every company, when you order something from them, there's going to be a shipping fee, right? So it's not a profit center for the company. Every company in the world loses to shipping because it's an expense that the company has to pay for. But one thing that I would mention as well, that especially if it's coming from someone who might be in the industry, perhaps in a different company, who is maybe comparing their shipping in their previous company to the shipping in your company, what I do tell them is, aside from Lior's point, which is, even though right now for international shipping, you might pay, $165 for that shipment, let's not forget, right, that number one, that is an IA rebate, so you get all that money back in dollars into your IA account for getting more products in the future. But on top of that, what I do mention is that it's not like you're in other companies, especially if you're in the health and wellness, where you have to order products every single month. And what happens is that the company, the head office, is sending you products every single month. So every single month, your credit card is being charged for the shipping and all the taxes and all the duty stuff. Whereas in our company, most people don't order as members. They don't order products every single month. You might save money into your account, and maybe after 3 months or 4 months or even by 6 months, then you might actually order the next batch, right? Because don't forget, our 165 is for a big container full of products you can actually ship, right? So if you actually do the math here, if you take the 165 for the international shipping and you divide it by 3 months or you divide it by 6 months, right? In reality, you're only paying maybe about, 50 to, maybe, $30 every month for shipping, which is actually, don't forget, even if it's $30 for shipping, you're actually getting the money back into your IA account. So in reality, it's actually cheaper than other sort of opportunities. And especially if you can combine the group shipping, so usually when I have teams, in different countries, for every additional an order that you combine together from different LCs, it's only $45. So really, if you had yourself pay $165 and you had 4 other people sharing the $45 shipping, then in reality, if you actually do the math and you add up 165 plus $45 plus 45 plus 45 plus 45, you divide that by 5 people, in reality, it's actually very, very inexpensive. You're paying maybe like $10 or $20 a month for shipping. So once you kind of understand that sort of math, that group shipping really does help you save, and the fact that you do it as an IA rebate, and in reality, it's actually a lot cheaper than other companies. So That's pretty much what we say for the shipping part, and hopefully that gives you enough of the answers that you need there. And again, the key point here is that you have the IA rebate, you don't ship every single month, and that you do have group shipping. So there we go. Okay, on to the next objection we have here, which is going to be, I already have a business for tax savings. I don't need another one. And because I do a lot of, I guess, tax training for the team here, why don't I go ahead and start off with that answer. Basically, some people who are already self-employed, for example, they might be a realtor or an insurance agent or any kind of a self-employed person, they might already have tax savings. But to say that you don't need another business for additional tax savings isn't 100% accurate. I'll give you an example. Let's say you are a painter. So you basically paint, walls as a self-employed business, and you have some write-offs. But it's not like, you can get every single write-off, because there's some things in GWT that you can write off due to the nature of GWT that you might not be able to with a painter's business. For example, if you were to take a flight, a business travel, and go to Mexico, right? As a painter, would it make sense that you wrote off a flight to Mexico for your painting business? It's very, very shady, right? Because why would you go to Mexico for your painting business, right? It doesn't really add up. Whereas, of course, in GWT, we are a global international company, and the fact that, you might travel to Mexico to expand your business actually makes sense. So the reality is that, with GWT, it can allow you to have additional write-offs that your other business potentially wouldn't have allowed you to have in the first place. Another example, let's say someone has a car. Again, the same painter business, he has a car. And, maybe, half the time he drives for personal, and the other half of the time he drives for his painting business. But let's just say that he decides to add on GWT as him or her decides to add GWT as an additional part-time business. Well, now, perhaps 50% of his driving was for his painting business, and now perhaps 20% was for GWT, and now 30% was for his own business, for his own personal use. So there's many other things that you can gain with GWT that you might not be able to with other kind of companies here. So I'm not sure if Lior and Marie want to add anything to that before we move on to the next objection. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, Anne-Marie.
Okay, thanks. One of the things that I'd bring up for this one is you might have already a business, but who do you know that don't have a business that could benefit all those tax savings? Beside what you just all said, Rene, because yes, traveling, you cannot take any business out traveling, but with GWT, you can write off your business, your travel business. But this is not a business. It's not about you. This is about helping other people. And I'm sure you know a lot of people that don't have that privilege to have a business. So why don't we go and help them to actually be able to benefit of having a home business? That's what I'd say. What about you, Lior?
Yeah, basically, just to add to what Rene was saying, that's exactly what I say. How would you like to be able to go to every country in the world and to be able to do business there and, have some of those expenses be a tax write-off? I understand that, you have your own business, and I understand that, you already have tax write-offs, but, let's say you wanted to go to Italy because you've never been to Italy. And let's say before you went to Italy, you called some people who worked at the hotel, or, you found some prospects there and you called them up and you scheduled a tour when you got there, right? So because you scheduled those tours before you went on your trip, well, guess what? Now your flight's a tax write-off because you're going and you're doing business there. Now your taxi and your hotel and your food. Now, if you were to do that with your current business, you probably wouldn't be able to do that. So, that's basically what I say. And, it's a great advantage that GWT offers people who already have their own businesses.
Wonderful. And, one thing that just sort of came up in my mind as well, too, is that, someone might ask this question because they actually are thinking that they have another business. But I think that sometimes the person who's saying this to you might not, again, realize the potential here, because what you can also say on top of everything that we've already said before, is, well, would having another stream of income be helpful for you? Would earning an additional $500 a month, in this business part-time be of value to you? And so, let's not forget as well, too, folks, that, the person who's saying this, they might not have, again, realized that there's an opportunity of making a lot of money here. And for people who are already self-employed, one thing that I have found is that they are looking, they are hungry. They are self-employed because they realize the potential of making a lot of money being self-employed. But in other words, they're hungry for money. And so what you also don't want to forget to mention to these kind of people is, look, for me personally, I think it always makes sense to have multiple streams of income. If you're making, 80 grand a year in your current business, would it hurt to have an additional 40 grand a month, from 40 grand a year in GWT? And all you have to do is share with other people how to have tax savings, how to get paid to wear bling, how to have fun while wearing amazing products. So let's not forget, folks, that you also want to bring it back to the fact that we can have multiple streams of income because, imagine if when you retire at the age of 65, if you can have 5 multiple streams of income coming in to you, whether it's real estate, maybe it's some investments, maybe it's some stock, and maybe it's GWT, why not, right? Okay.
And just to add to that, Rene, because you got me thinking about another thing, is that, what Rene is saying is true, is that, they may just be looking at the business from a tax savings point of view and saying, well, that's not something that I need, but, they do need residual income because residual income is going to give them time freedom. So just because they have a business, usually means they've bought themselves a job because they're probably spending a lot of time in that business. So, that's where you could say, well, if you already have tax savings in your business, do you have residual income? And, usually their answer will be no. And then that's where, you can let them know the value and the benefits of this opportunity is that you get time and money in addition to having a great lifestyle. So, yeah, I think we hit all the points there, and we should probably go on to the next one.
And actually, while you were talking, Lior, you gave me another thing that my mind too. Really quickly, was that sometimes after that topic, they might sort of carry on by saying, well, they don't have much time for another business. And that's what, again, it's very important that you tell them, again, with this business here, the amazing part about it is that you have a support team. You have a Mind 5 who can assist you and help you in talking to your prospects even while you're busy. So there we go. So I think we really killed this one in every possible angle. So moving on to the next objection here is, funny one. When you make money, then I'll join. So while we take it away, and so Anne-Marie, let's start with you first. So when someone tells you, Anne-Marie, when you make money, then I'll, now, of course, with Anne-Marie, you have already made money. But let's just pretend that you're a brand new member, you should launch your VDN, you've launched your mall, and it's your first week of business. You invite a prospect, and they say to you, Anne-Marie, when you make money, then I'll join. Well, how would you handle this kind of a question or objection?
Rene, you took all the fun away. I was just going to say, okay, well, then sign here. But no, it's true. Like, people will come and say that when you get started, like, every now and then you'll have someone who say, when you start making money, then I'll join. But then I'll ask them, I'd ask them some question, because at the end of the day, it's not about me, it's about you making money. And have you, I'll ask them, have you heard of the saying, monkey see, monkey do, right? So, it's not when I make money, it's that people will do what you do. So if you did, join now and let's work together so we can make money together instead of you waiting. And then when I start making money, you losing out. Because at the end of the day, we all buy jewelry. And as we all know, everybody buys online. So would it make sense to buy from you, from your own virtual designer mall, instead of going to the mall? Make the mall rich. And on top of that, I'm already saving for my taxes every single day, so I'm already saving big time. So it's just like making money. So why don't you do the same thing, and let's get you started. And that's how I ended. That would be how I would handle this.
Wonderful. Lior, take it away, buddy. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, basically it's the same as the other one. It's really a funny question. When you make money, then I'll join. Well, again, what does my ability to make money have to do with your ability to make money with this company, right? It's two completely different things. And another thing that I tell people is, I would tell people if I was new is, well, when I'm already making money, then you'll actually lose out on the opportunity because you're actually going to lose a lot of money by waiting. And then they're probably going to say, well, what do you mean I'm going to lose money by waiting? And then you can show them how, by getting started earlier, they will benefit from other people getting started in the company after them. You can share, people who waited and lost a lot of money, like Sherry or other people in the company. So it actually really hurts them. It doesn't benefit them to wait until you make money before they get started. It actually really hurts them. And again, it's up to us to let them know what they're going to be losing by waiting so that they should get started right now. And, sometimes this is a question that, people say, kind of in a cheeky way, it's like, well, you're not going to make money. So, I'm going to wait for you to not make money, and then I'll prove to you that I'm right, that you can't make money with this company, right? Sometimes people actually say it from that kind of a perspective, and if they are saying it like that, then don't expect that person to ever join the business because they're not somebody who is open-minded to common sense, right? They're just people who, maybe they've just been hurt in the past and they've heard all negative things from other people about other companies, and now, they're bitter because they've been hurt by other companies or whatever it is, right? But again, it's not, a lot of times it has nothing to do with the money itself. It's just their belief. Maybe again, they don't believe in you. And, again, don't spend too much time trying to convince somebody who doesn't really want to be convinced, who doesn't want their questions answered, because sometimes they just say these things and they're not really looking for their questions to be answered. They just want to be right. And so if you're talking to that kind of a person, then, answer it, in the ways that, we've all recommended here. But again, don't spend your time on somebody who's not, interested in taking a serious look at how great this opportunity is.
Wonderful. And I think the one sort of thing that I would really, like to add to this is that, if someone actually said that to me, and, it wasn't about just knowing that you can make money as a company because I can use other people's stories, and it wasn't about anything else. If it was really just about him and me or her and me, like they had an issue with me, I would say to them, okay, so we have a deal. The second I make my first check, you will join. Do we have a deal? Do we have an agreement? And I would actually hold them accountable to that. So, so John, what you're saying to me is that when I make my first check, you're going to join, right? Because you just said when I make money, you're going to join. You'll say yes. So, John, I want you to fill out this form. The second I make my first check, I'm going to call you and we're going to put you in. Because you know that you're not going to quit because one person told you when you make money, then I'll join. We're not, if you've been through President Network, you understand this is a business. It's not about the first person saying no. It's not about the first 100 people saying no. It's about going through as many no's as it takes to get to reach $1 million status. So you already know that just by you not stopping your business, and that you already know that by you moving forward in your business, you are going to eventually have a sale, whether it's a retail sale or you're launching a new video. Take that first check. And I want you to call this person and say, John, you know what? Remember how last week you said to me that when I make my first check that you're going to join? Well, guess what? Let's get you in, my friend. And that would be just the sweetest feeling you will ever feel. And I think that's how you can handle this objection. Pretty big one. Okay? So moving along to the next one here. I think we're actually almost done here. This one here. When someone signs up, then I'll join. Okay, so this one here, I want to add one quick thing before I pass it on to our amazing co-trainers, Lior and Marie. Is that, I'll actually tell someone, look, in this business, what you do, other people do. So what's going to happen here is one of two things. Is that you're not going to join, and when you bring your people out, because usually this comes up when someone's saying to you that when I bring someone out and they sign up, then I'll join first. So what I tell them is that one of two things will happen. Number one is that you don't sign up, you bring your guests out and they see the business, and that guest will always ask you, well, have you joined yet? And now you have two answers. Either one, you lie about it and you say, yes, you have joined, because you know that by saying you haven't joined it looks bad. So either you lie about it and you say you have joined, which is wrong, because we shouldn't lie at any point in time, right? Or number two, you be honest and say, well, actually, I haven't joined yet. I was waiting for you to join. And now that second person, who the guest, is going to do what you just did. Monkey see, monkey do. They're going to follow what you. So what they're going to say is, well, then in that case, if you're waiting for me to join, then I'm going to invite my own friend to come out. When they join, then I'll join. Now no one's joined the company. And my point here, folks, that I tell the person, look, you have to lead by example. Because if you haven't committed to the business and you're inviting someone else out to come to this business, and if they join, then you join, what you are telling your prospect is that you don't have confidence in this business. And what's telling the prospect is that if you don't have confidence in your own business, how can you possibly expect for them to join? Like, if you were the one who was inviting me to the meeting, and I found out that you hadn't joined yet, what that's telling me is that you're counting on me to build your business, which is bad, or that you don't believe enough in the company, and I will lose faith in that. So either way, it's never good to do this. And I tell the person, look, if you're going to join at some point in time, you must as well join now and give your people the confidence that you believe in the company. Because, the worst thing to do is to invite someone else out to the meeting, and you haven't even committed to the business yet, because that's showing lack of confidence. And again, that's not how you build a big business. So I want to pass again this objection to our other co-trainers, and Maria and Lior, take it away.
Yeah, well, this is this is a silly question, and what I always tell people is, you can do that. You can invite somebody to a tour if you want to, but then what's going to happen is exactly what Rene said, is that they're going to come and see the opportunity, and they're going to say, well, have you gotten started? And you're going to say no, and they're going to say, well, if you don't believe in it, then why should I believe in it? And then that never works. And so if you just give people that way of if you just handle the objection in that way, people will understand that that's not something that ever works, and they should get started. And then once they get started, then they're actually going to have success. So that's one thing. But people have to understand also that if they start to do the business and invite people and they're not in, people are going to feel their lack of excitement. People are going to feel their lack of interest, because when you've put money into something, the way that you speak to people, the way that you talk to people when you have a business is completely different from you trying something just to see if it's going to work. Your excitement is different. Your energy is different. And people are going to feel that your energy is different. And so what I tell people is, you can do that, but do not expect any results. You will not have any results at all, because your energy is going to be different. Your excitement's going to be different. You're not in the business. You're just testing it out, and people are going to feel that. So do not expect anybody to come out that way. And, once you say that, they really get that that's not the proper way to do the business.
That's fine. Anne-Marie, your turn.
Thank you. I just, again, love what everybody said so far. One of the things that I'd bring up, and I would start asking some questions, right? Like we talked on previous training about peeling the onions. Like I'd ask them, like, what do you expect? Like, what do you think people's going to do when you invite them and they'll find out that you haven't even joined? Because people will ask you, what package are you at? And you'll say, well, I haven't joined yet. Oh, okay, well, I'm not going to join either, and I'm going to see where it goes. So nobody's going to join, and how's that going to help you, right? But really, at the end of the day, what I'm hearing is you might have some fear that people might not join, and that's where now I'll bring the feel fun. I know how you feel, because I feel the same way. I didn't know. But what I realized is that if I don't start talking with people and start putting some time into this business, nothing else is going to happen. So what is it exactly that is stopping you right now so we can really peel that onion, right? What is it right now that's stopping you for joining so we can help you? Because this company, on top of being amazing, has all the training for you to become successful. So let's get you started, and we'll go for some training so you don't have that fear that people might not join.
And I
That's
guess,
how.
like, if they do happen to be in North America and, tax benefits are applicable, then again, I mean, why would you wait? Because by you waiting till someone else joins, you're actually missing out on those tax savings, right? So, okay, there we go. On to the next objection we have for tonight is kind of a funny one. Why do other companies have products similar to Fairy? And, I guess sometimes people have seen perhaps a design of something that might look similar. And I don't know about, Lior and Anne-Marie, but my first reaction is, well, there's only so many ways you can design a watch. There's only so many ways you can design, something. So, although to me, Fairy is very, very exclusive and the designs are very, very exquisite to JBT, is it impossible that you might find something similar? Well, of course you will. I mean, there's only so many ways to design a bag, right? So, but the difference here is that in GWT with Fairy and Posh and Fairy and Mosh is you can actually get paid to wear these brands and promote these brands. So, Anne-Marie, Lior, take it away, please.
Go ahead, Anne-Marie.
No, well, okay. Well, just like Rene, you said, I mean, everybody loves jewelry. So if only one company was selling jewelry, then we wouldn't have any different diversity around. But there's only one company that is a designer fashion house that is actually paying people to wear and promote the products. So, I mean, just like anything, I mean, you don't go, there's more than one company who sells grocery. Well, how come there's not just one, right? So it's normal that when something everybody love and like, that there's different market out there. And, these people, when they find out that they can get paid to wear it, then they love it and they love the quality of it, and that's it. So what's up?
Well, this is actually a question that I enjoy answering because it shows people how great our company is. When you start to see products out there that are similar to ours, what does that mean? That means that we are becoming the #1 designer brand in the world. Well, what do you mean, Lior? Well, what I mean is why does Hong Kong and China and other countries, why do they duplicate products of some of the largest top designer countries in the world? Because they're very popular and because they're beautiful and because people want them. So when you start to see other designs out there that are similar to ours, what does that mean? That means people are copying our products because they're so beautiful, because they're so unique, because they've never seen anything like that before. What does that mean? That means that we're becoming a top luxury designer brand, and that means we're becoming the #1 designer luxury brand in the world, because people only copy something if it's incredible. People only copy something if it's wanted by other people. So obviously our products are beautiful, incredible, and wanted by other people, so now people are starting to copy us. A lot of people don't know that Global Wealth Trade was actually the first company in the world that started to experiment and make jewelry out of tungsten. And then after Global Wealth Trade started to use tungsten in different jewelry designs, other companies started to come out, and now a lot of people are doing that. But who was the first? Well, we were the first ones to actually start to come out with the type of tungsten that we have. And so, even though other companies might have similar designs to us, there's one thing that they will never have, and that's the quality that we have. You can copy a design, but you can't copy quality, especially if you're copying, right? If you're copying, you're doing it very cheaply so that you can make a lot of profits, and you probably don't have the money to do the kind of research and development that Global Wealth Trade has. You don't have the kind of money to do the craftsmanship that we have. You don't have the money to do the warranties that we have, the quality, all of that. So, if you want to buy another product that looks similar to what we have because somebody copied the company, you can do that. Just don't expect to receive the quality, the warranty, and everything that this company has. So, that's what I usually tell people.
A very good point there, because in reality, when someone says that to me, I say, well, in actuality, no one else has anything similar to us, because no one else has 19 karat gold, 12 karat gold. No one else has 95 display. No one else has, our level of designs of bags and the coating on the bag. No one else has the brand Fairy. So no one else has anything similar to us because no one else has Fairy. So there we go. And moving on to the next objection we have for tonight is, why is GWT not on the DSA? Now, this question, we don't get very often. And in reality, it's when people actually understand, what the DSA really is and what they sort of, and how they actually function as an organization. The DSA is not some sort of a government-run, organization. It's actually, just a community of people who found a great way to, basically make some money. So I know that, Lior and myself, we dealt with this a few times now. But why don't you go ahead, Lior, and share with the audience first, how you'd handle this, and I'll add some points after, if anything else. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I do get this question, maybe once every 6 months or so. The DSA is the Direct Sales Association, and there are companies that are part of the DSA. So some people say, well, since there's companies that are part of the DSA, how come you guys are not part of the DSA? Well, there's good reasons for that. First of all, the DSA works with direct sales companies and governments of countries around the world in order to help direct sales companies to get their products approved for sale and for shipment to other companies, to other countries. All right, so companies need the help of the direct sales to get their products approved for sale all over the world. But the beautiful thing about GWT is we don't need that approval, because our products are already pre-approved in every single country around the world, all right? So if our products are already pre-approved in every country around the world, why do we need to become part of the DSA? We don't need to become part of the DSA, all right? Well, some people say, well, if you become a part of the DSA, then that brings up your credibility, and you're going to look like a better company. Well, that's the silliest thing that I've ever heard, because so many companies have become part of the DSA and have actually been shut down by the government for being illegal pyramid schemes. So, being a part of the DSA doesn't bring up your credibility or anything, because we know many companies have been shut down who were part of the DSA. So, it doesn't do anything for us, because we're already the #1 company in the world, and we don't need, anybody to bring up our credibility, because we're already the best, all right? Another thing with the DSA is that you actually have to pay the DSA a percentage of your sales just to be part of the DSA. So Ramin can say, okay, well, I'm going to take money away from the compensation plan. I'm going to stop paying people so much money and use that money to give it to the DSA just to say that we're part of the DSA. Well, obviously you would say, no, I don't want to become part of the DSA, because you would much rather have that money come into your pocket, all right? And so, again, our CEO and founder, Ramin Masgarlu, always is thinking about how he can pay the luxury consultants first and not spend money where it's not necessary. And, the DSA is not something that's necessary for us. I mean, other companies need it because they don't have products that are pre-approved in other countries, but we don't need it. So that's what I would answer.
And, one thing I want to add to that as well, again, every point get on there, Lior, is that, it's not like you pay a one-time, it's not like per company. If your company launches in different countries around the world, every country might have their own DSA. So what's going to happen is you're not just paying 1% of your sales to just one country. You're paying it to every single country. So imagine if again, it's not even required. It's not at all beneficial to the company to do this, but if they actually did do this, they're paying fees to every single country we would have to go in and be in. And we are already in 86 countries without being on the DSA. So imagine if we decided to do that, how much money the company would be just be spending instead of putting into our pockets. They're giving it to these companies that we are already in that country doing this already. And so, again, what again Lior said there is that, the DSA has nothing to do with credibility. It's just an organization where, they basically try to, to pay a fee to be part of it. In reality, it's not like a guarantee that the company will be good, right? And the last thing to add is, what's important to me is because the DSA doesn't even really regulate or look at, your company. They don't really look at, very details of the plan, and they don't do investigations to see if anything is issues going on. And no consumers can actually report to the DSA about, the service of the company. So what I look at is the BBB, which is the Better Business Bureau. And if you go in, if you go to bbb.org and you look up Global Wealth Trade, you will find that, every company starts off with a C- ranking. Global Wealth Trade has an A+ ranking on the BBB. And the BBB is a place where everyday consumers, you, me, anyone, can go onto the BBB, and if we have an issue with a company, you can file a complaint. So, Microsoft has, I think, over like 13,000 complaints from their customers. Only 3,000 are actually closed. They have so many unanswered cases. Whereas with GWT, we have an A+ ranking, and other companies have an F- ranking. We have an A+ ranking plus. We only ever had, I think, two questions coming in about the company that were addressed over like 6 years ago. So we have never had any complaint at all about this company. And to me, that BBB is actually a government-run organization, and that's the most credible thing you can look at when it comes to, is this company good? So again, DSA has nothing to do with how good or bad a company is. It's just, people don't understand what the DSA is there for. They do more stats. They look at they try to run stats for people. So what's really more important is the fact that, again, do all the company accolades. So talk about American Business Journal, Canadian Business Journal, Canadian Jeweler, GIA, IGI. So we have so much third-party credibility that we don't need the DSA to try to look better. We have so much credibility from third-party companies that other companies in direct sales don't even have that. So we just don't need that. So that's pretty much what I would cover. And maybe anything else you want to add to that really quickly, or should we go to the next one?
Actually, I never had that question asked. So you.
Well, there you go, folks. It's not very often you actually get this question. So moving on to the next objection here. I think we're actually done with the objections, but one thing I did want to add is that sometimes when you're doing a closing session with your prospect, you'll find that they're just sort of sitting there and you're kind of talking because you're trying to get something from them. They're just sitting there and they're not really being responsive to, or not being very, very interactive with you. So, and even though I'm saying all these great things about why join now and all this great stuff, they're just not really, saying much. So what I do is I get very, very blunt. I'll actually tell them, so if there was anything holding you back, what would one of the main reasons be? Because, obviously they're there, they're listening to me because they have interest, because they're still there, but they're not saying much. And what you'll find out is that you'll find out exactly what it is that they need to address to move on to the signing of the business, right, and launching the video mall. And there's one really funny situation where I was doing a meeting, and we had about 3 or 4 people talking to this one prospect about, of course, launching their mall, and and they just weren't really responsive. So I just said to them, I said, well, if there's one thing that's holding you back, what would that one thing be? And the person said to me, well, actually, I was just looking for the application form on how to get started. And so the whole time, we're talking to the person, they already want to sign up, but they didn't know how to sign up. Right? So sometimes you don't really know what they're thinking. So just be direct, be honest, and you'll find that this question is such a powerful question because it can help you find out exactly what it is that they need to move on to the next step here. Okay, so now we do have some questions that actually came in during our training here. So let me try to answer the additional objections here really quickly here. But let's see here. So one objection that came in is how come there aren't more millionaires or even 10K club income earners with this company? And so, the way I would quickly answer that objection there, Bruno, is that, our company, again, we covered this before, the target was never to become the next biggest Amway or the next biggest Avon. The company's target was to become the next world's largest designer brand, bigger than Hermes and Chanel and Prada, Gucci, and LV. So in order to do that, the company had to, again, take their time and strongly and carefully create the product they have today. And that's why over 9 years, no one else has the product that we have, and we don't have any other competitors. So because of that, of course, we're going to have slower growth than other companies. But the good thing is that in our company, you don't have to have a lot of people to make a lot of money. For example, for myself, when I had 1,000 people in my organization, I surpassed $1 million earnings. In any other company, you'd have to have over 300,000 people minimum to get to $1 million. And so the reality is that, is that if you look at, again, the size of the whole company, other companies might have, 500,000 people and have, like, let's say 1 millionaire. Whereas in our company, we only have currently about 25,000, total mall launches, and a lot of that might also be the VIP members. So let's call it about 18,000 actual BDM owners, and we already have 2 millionaires and a lot of people in the 10K club range. So when people realize that, people don't realize sometimes that we don't have, the $1 million, for the million people leading the company, they only realize that, wow, we only have about 25,000-ish people. They realize that in reality, we have created more millionaires with fewer numbers of BDM owners than any other company in the world. Okay, so I guess anything else you want to add to that, Lior or Anne-Marie, for that particular objection?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I don't hear very often, but sometimes people don't understand that, when they hear about other companies and when they hear, sometimes in other companies people say, well, we have this many millionaires and we have this many things. Well, a lot of times they're not being honest. A lot of times they're just, saying, how many millions of dollars of volume they've made, or, we don't really know whether that company is being honest or not, right? But what we do know is that in GWT, everything is done in the interest of the luxury consultants, and we always do things honestly and fairly. And so, there will be a point in time where there will be hundreds of millionaires in the company and, 1,000 millionaires in the company. That time will come, right? So, again, I always go back to the Apple example. Apple, again, people who joined Apple, look at the stock market, right? There are some people who buy stocks, and because of the stock, they make a lot of money, but then they lose that money the next day, right? The stock went up a lot, and then the stock went down, and then people lost a lot of money. Well, look at Apple. Look at all the people who invested in Apple when it first came out. They waited until the company was doing, through all the rough periods of the company, through all the growing pains, when the company was growing and learning and doing all those things. But those people, they didn't look at all the other stocks that were going up and down and, at all the other people who were making money and then losing money. They didn't look at that. They knew that when you're with a company that's in it for the long term, there will come a time where you will be able to benefit from that. And not only will you benefit from that, but you'll be able to keep all of the earnings that you make, and it's not just going to disappear because the company is bad. And so Apple has been here for the long haul. And so because of the people who invested in Apple in the beginning and who were willing to wait until, the company became one of the largest companies in the world, bigger than ExxonMobil. Now those people who invested in those stocks at the beginning, now they're multi-millionaires, and Apple continues to grow. And as Apple continues to grow, those people's shares continue to grow, and they continue to keep making money. Well, what do you think is going to happen in your business when you continue to build it in global wealth trade, when they come out with clothes and furniture and cars and luggage and you know, when they become the #1 designer brand in the world, what do you think is going to happen to your paycheck, right? So again, don't get distracted by other people making claims that are not true, or, you know, by thinking that the grass is greener on the other side, because the grass is never greener on the other side. The grass is only always greener wherever you water it. So focus on your GWT business, and, you know, make sure that you build it properly for the long term, and, you know, you will be one of those next millionaires.
Wonderful. And, you know, we have a few more objections popping up here, so I want to try to answer as many as possible. The next one here is, I am really interested but unemployed and no money to join but no lots of friends. So, you know, really quickly there, you know, the truth is that people have the money. You know, for example, if I talk to that person who's telling you they have no money, and, you know, I told them, hey, you know what, I can sell you a house, a $1 million house. All you have to pay is $3,000 to own a $1 million house. Can you find me $3,000? They will for sure find that $3,000. So the reality is that, you know, this goes back to the, I think the first, second training in this series, we talked about having no time or no money. You definitely want to talk to and go and review that video. I don't want to go into that double again. But if people have the money, you know, who doesn't have $1 today, you know, for the retail to get started? So I don't want to go into that one again. We do have that one already answered in, I think, the first or second video in the series. One thing that someone wanted to add is that you know, they like to ask, you know, do you think that the problem was the company, or was it maybe not the right timing for you or your friend? So basically, it's one of those kind of things you can say when someone, you know, says to you that they have a disbelief of, or they had a bad experience in MLM. And we did cover this again before in our third video, which is that, you know, you can ask them, do you think the problem why you made no money was it because of you, or was it because of something else, right? So I thank you very much for that, Darcy. Bruno has another one coming in saying, well, how come there aren't more well-known industry leaders associated with GWT? I can answer that one really quickly. Very simple, Bruno, is that in our company, we don't pay people to join. In other companies, what's happening right now in the MLM industry or the direct sales industry is that it's such a red ocean. It's like a bloodbath. You know, people can't sustain their income in other companies. And so what's happening right now is that, you know, back in maybe like 40 years ago, it might be rare to hear of a deal. You know, someone gets a big $1 million deal, you know, they move from one company to the next company, and, you know, it's a very, very special kind of story. But if you notice recently in the last 2 years, you know, you're constantly hearing stories of people jumping companies. You know, people are jumping from one to the next. And I'm constantly hearing about deals. In fact, a lot of our people in GWT have received, you know, offers from other companies to join those companies and to bring the teams over, you know. And that's how desperate these other companies are, because they can't, you know, because they're selling the same kind of product, the same kind of vitamins or juice or coffee or makeup or whatever it is, they can't, you know, naturally attract leaders because they're selling the same kind of thing. So what's happening today in the direct sales industry is that people in the companies have to pay other leaders to join their companies. But again, you know, the one thing that we don't believe in this industry, especially from our CEO, Mr. Rene Masgardu, is in faking it. You know, we don't believe that, you know, because, you know, if we paid a leader to join our company, we could do that. But is it real? You know, is what they're doing duplicatable? Because now they're saying on stage that they made all this money, but it wasn't even real. So the reality is that, you know, to me, you know, Bruno, a leader is someone who has been able to build a business in multi-level marketing and direct selling and have it sustain. You know, someone who's built, you know, a big paycheck in direct sales, but now is not doing that same company, to me, that is not a leader, because they have not found a company where they can show other people on how to create a long-term passive income. Because, you know, all of you guys on the call tonight, you're not here to make a one-time check, right? You're here to make long-term passive income. And so, you know, the reality is that there are very, very few, you know, when you hear about industry leaders, be very wary of that, you know, because a lot of people, even I know, you know, who were once called leaders are no longer in that company, or they got paid to join these companies here. So anything you want to add to that, Lior or Anne-Marie?
You know, I mean, and, you know, in a lot of situations for a lot of people, I actually, asked this question to somebody who's very well known in this industry. I said to them, how come, more well-known leaders haven't joined this company? And his simple answer was, because they don't know about the company. You'll be surprised at how many people do not even know about global wealth trade. I mean, you call some of the most well-respected, well-known, people in this industry, they have not heard of the company. So that's actually an opportunity for not only you, but every single person on this phone call to actually go out there and make sure that all of these people in the industry know about the company so that, they can get started with us. And then once, that happens, then, your business is going to increase and you're going to see a lot of things happening. So, use that as an opportunity to tell every single person that you know.
Wonderful. Anne-Marie, anything you want to add to that really quickly, or?
No, not really. Actually, you guys cover it up very well.
Okay, wonderful. So another one that just came in, I think it's actually our second last one, or it's actually our last one, is can you explain what the difference is between a pyramid scheme and what you guys are doing? Why is it illegal? So we did cover the pyramid objection, I believe, in the very first training video. But can you explain what the difference is between a pyramid scheme and what you're doing? Why is it illegal? So again, we did address how to answer the question about a pyramid scheme. And so
just like really simply, the difference between an illegal pyramid scheme and every other company is, in an illegal pyramid scheme, people are getting paid from money that people are paying to get started in the pyramid scheme. So there's no product and there's no service being sold. That's how you know that it's an illegal pyramid scheme, is when there's no product, no service. You pay and somebody else gets paid. That's illegal. Obviously, we have beautiful products, and so other companies also have products or services. So if you want to know the difference between an illegal company and legal company, is there a product or service being sold? Really simple.
And again, we've been here for 9 years, and that's just whatever you're thinking of is absolutely not what you're looking at over here. So, and nicely, that actually covers the last objection we have for tonight. We do have a lot of comments coming in from different people for the excellent training. I know, thanks for the insight into how to go and what deal with objections. We are so stoked to the billion. And there's a question coming saying, where are the other parts of the training located? Where can we find them? If you go to www.ourgwt.com, again, that's www.ourgwt.com. On the left-hand side, there's actually a list of training topics by alphabetical order. If you go to H for handling objections, you will find part 1, 2, and 3, and after tonight, you will find part 4 as well, too. So there we have it, and it is a bit past our 10:15 p.m. Sort of end time, and I want to close the call for now. Again, I just want to give a very special thanks to our amazing host for tonight, Mr. Bruno. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. And, of course, to our amazing super trainers, Lior, Skaler, and Chantal. Thank you, guys, for being on the call tonight. Any last words from you guys?
No, I just want to say thank you, Rene and Anne-Marie, for joining me these last 4 weeks. I think we tackled a lot of objections for people. I think after this series, you guys should, every single person on this call should listen to these 4 parts over and over and over again. And, something that I mentioned on last week's training is that you can go to listentoyoutube.com and you could actually download all of these 4 videos into MP3s, put them on your phone, put them on a CD, and listen to it in your car while you're in traffic, listen to it at the gym while you're working out, listen to it at work when you're supposed to be working. But, just repetition. Make